Okay, so in this video we're going to be making a critical hit script. And first off, we're going to go through the brainstorming process a little bit. So first things first, what is a critical hit? That is where, boom, see the sparks? It does a little bit extra damage when you land a critical hit. So critical hits have specific requirements. So in order to land a critical hit, a player must be falling, a player must be on the ground, not on the ladder or vine, not in the water, not affected by blindness or slowing, or slow falling, and not writing an entity. And then these are both Java editions, so we don't need to pay attention to those two. I don't plan on writing an entity. I'm not going to spawn any mobs in that give slow falling or blindness. I don't plan on doing this in the water right now, and I don't plan on trying to be on a vine or ladder while I'm doing it. So I'm just going to pay attention to these two requirements. A player must be falling, and a player must not be on the ground. So, once again, not jumping. So falling, I have to be falling, and I can't be on the ground. So, boom. See the sparks? That's how you land a critical hit. So while you're falling, and while you're not on the ground. And then there's the third check that this one doesn't really say. Of course, you got to be hitting the mob. So that's kind of a third thing to keep in mind. So once again, we're going to be utilizing local player. So if you haven't watched that video, if you don't know much about local player, I would suggest it. My local player video. So just go ahead and Control C that, and then bring up your structure dissect and paste that in there so that it gets the correct stuff. So for 1.16.221 version of Minecraft, fall distance and is on ground are going to be the two that we're going to be utilizing inside local player data structure. So that's at offset 1 BC and 1 C0. So fall distance and is on ground. So as you can see, this says is on ground 0, 1, which means true. So am I on the ground? True or false? 1 is true, 0 is false. See, when I jump, it turns to 0. And then as you can see, that one that I had highlighted, fall distance, I'm going to highlight the one right above it. You can see that changes when I'm falling. Bloop. So that shows your fall distance. So the first thing that we're going to do is add fall distance to our address list. So just right click it, add address list, or press A hotkey. So we have fall distance right here. And we are going to right click that and click find out what accesses this address. And you already get some that are just constantly going off, and then some when we jump and some when we're falling. But the one that we want is when we hit the mob. That's the third check that is unexplained, that doesn't really tell you right here. It's the hidden check. So falling on the ground and hitting a mob. So as you can see, let's go to this real quick. So when we hit a mob, there's that hidden check right here that pops up. That's the one we want. Select that address and click Show Disassembler, and that will show you what instruction is accessing fall distance whenever we hit a mob. So with that being said, let's kind of break it down a little bit. This is a commiss, which is a scalar ordered single floating point, FP is floating point, compare and set E flags. So this is a compare. So it's comparing something to the value of RCX plus 1 BC. As you can see, that 1 BC right there. If we go to our local player data structure, okay, come on, what did I do with it? It's hidden. Okay, so in local player, we know that 1 BC is our fall distance. So that that's RCX. RCX plus 1 BC. So RCX is our local player address. And then plus 1 BC gets us to offset 1 BC, which is our fall distance. So we know that it's comparing our fall distance to the value of XMM0. We don't know exactly what XMM0 is unless we click on, what address did we click? This one? Yeah. So unless we double click that, then you can click this floating point registers right here. and it will tell you what the registers are. It's using XMM0 to compare, which is 0.0 through and through. So it's comparing fall distance to 0 and then doing some other instruction. But right here, this jump is what communicates with that compare. Usually in assembly, there's a compare and then a jump, typically sometime shortly afterwards. So we know that this jump this is a check saying jump if above or equal to this address, or jump to this address if this compare is above or equal to each other. So shortly, just right after that one, we can see that this is comparing RCX plus 1C0 to 0. Now, again, if we check our offsets in our local player data structure, we can see that 1C0 is on ground. That's the is on ground check. So it's checking if it's comparing our check right here, is on ground, to 0. And then it's saying jump to this address if these two are not equal, NE. So we don't want any one of these jumps. Those are interfering. So we're going to go ahead and right click that first one, click replace with code that does nothing, and since it's only 2 bytes long, it's only going to do 2 no ops. See, no op, 2 bytes. And then we're going to right click this one and replace, do the same thing, no op that one, replace with code that does nothing. So we no opt 4 bytes here. Right after these compares, the first one checks our fall distance, the second one checks is on ground. So 1BC, 1C0. 1BC is fall distance, 1C0 is on ground. So now we are going to test if we get critical hits while not doing the requirements. Passkey, see the sparks? We got critical hits now. Boom. Kill them a lot quicker. So now we have critical hits even though we're not jumping and falling and not on ground. Now we kill these things by punching them in 9 or 10 hits rather than 20. So now we got to turn that into a script. Let's go ahead and restore with original code. Restore with original code. Okay, so we're just going to select that, kind of scroll down to it, click Tools, Auto Assemble, Template, Array of Byte Injection, click OK. We'll name this fall distance check. Just click OK. And I'm just going to kind of get rid of this spacing and the pointless labels. Bloop. Okay, so I'm going to go File, Assign to Current Cheat Table, X out of that, and I'm going to do the same thing with the other jump. So this one is a jump that is corresponding to the is on ground check. So we're going to select that one and do the same thing. Scroll down to it, Tools, Auto Assemble, Template, Array of Byte Injection, click OK, name this is on ground check. Click OK. Get rid of the random spacing and pointless labels. And once again, File, Assign to Current Cheat Table. X out of that. Alright, so okay, we can stop this now. I'm just going to keep it kind of nearby though, because I might need it again. I don't know yet. So let's go back to this. So we have our 2 newly added scripts. You can double click the script bar right here to edit it. So this is our fall distance check. So let's go ahead and name that FD for fall distance check, or just FDC. Name this is on ground check IOG. So we have our fall distance check and our is on ground check script. So now we want to combine these into one. I'm just going to use this. I don't know what was in here, but I'm going to use it. All right, so let's go ahead and open our fall distance check. Bloop. And let's go ahead and open this one. Let me switch places because that's weird. Maybe I'm weird, I don't know. Okay, so we are going to take this, just kind of replace that. And we don't need the return, we might actually. Okay, so this one, no, we're not going to be locating memory, so we don't need that. Just get rid of that. And you know what? Yeah, we don't need the return label either. We can get rid of that. We don't need, since we're not allocating any memory, we can just get rid of that section. This, we're going to, since we copy pasted it, we're going to take this name here, Control C, paste it here, do the same there, get rid of the random spacing. We aren't delocating memory or unregistering a symbol that is not there, so we don't need those. Okay, so we have fall distance check. And okay, so right here we're going to tell it to define bytes, dB. And then it's only 2 bytes long for the jump. So fall distance check. Where'd it go? Okay, so let's go up to the first jump. Okay, so it's only 2 bytes long. So we want to dB 90, 90. So no op 2 bytes at that address. And let's get the original bytes for that. So the original bytes are 73.6F. So 73.6F. There's the original 2 bytes for that address. Now we are going to do the same with the other one. You can fill this out if you want to. I'm just going to get rid of this giant chunk this time. Okay, so there's that. So that's for the fall distance check. Now let's get is on ground check. Open that one. Take this array byte scan piece. Control C. Control V. So now we have is on ground check. We're going to do the same thing with that one because once again, the second jump is also only 2 bytes. So let's just copy this little piece. Control C. Oh god. Control V. Get the name of the other one. So we're going to be no-opping both of them, so it's the exact same. And then go here. Control V. And then define bytes, the original 2 bytes, 7566. Okay, so we have our addresses right here, except they're doing array of byte scans, so that it doesn't actually use this +19 blah 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 yada yada part. And that should be it, I believe. Looks about right. Let's click OK. Let's name that script criticals. And let's try toggling it. So we toggle it. Let's look. No ops 2 bytes at both of these addresses that we told it to. And so we should have criticals. Let's spawn in a zombie real quick. Oh, okay, really? Well, as you can see, there is criticals. So, boop. Now we have critical hits. Doesn't matter if we're jumping. Doesn't matter if we're flying. Still lands criticals. Or standing. We're always landing critical hits. And yeah, that's how you do it. And that's a little bit of the brainstorming process. You kind of research a little bit, see what we need in order to hit a critical hit. So falling on ground, and the third hidden check is whether you're actually hitting a mob or not. And that is on criticals.